I'm there, man. I'm just watching
Yeah.
these people like do their thing, and I'm riveted. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, Jimmy. I'm sure you are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to No Drama, Just Movies. And we are back this week with another movie and TV review. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for the content that we produce each and every week in the world of TV and movies. My name is Cameron. Let me get my download from St. Nick, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
uh, I'm Phil Jimmy Corwin.
Oh, that's right. And if you haven't guessed it by now, but of course you would have based on the title of this video, we are here to review none other than 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. Of course, this is the sequel to 28 Years Later, which is the sequel to 28 Weeks Later, which is the sequel to 28 Days Later, and so on and so forth. So let's just go immediately into our thoughts, right? I love this movie. I
Yeah.
absolutely love this movie. I think this movie is
That's a lot.
fantastic. Honestly, like I am so hyped about this movie. The first one I enjoyed. When I say the first one, 28 years later, I
Mm.
enjoyed at the time, but since then, I haven't really had necessarily the exact same feelings for it, even though I did really enjoy it. And I think it had some beautiful character moments, some beautiful performances, and just some really emotional moments. This one is fun and it's a very easy and simple movie to follow. I saw a lot of people saying, if you
Mm?
didn't watch the 28 years later, would this be hard to follow? And I suppose yes, because you wouldn't have been introduced to Samson or Ian or Spike or the Jimmies. And sure, but I think if you have watched 28 years later, I think it's a very easy to follow movie. Obviously,
Mm.
I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but obviously Jimmy meets the Jimmies, becomes one of the Jimmies. You have the stuff
Jimmy,
going on
Jimmy,
with
Jimmy,
Doctor.
Jimmy, 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 and then with Jimmy and
Exactly.
Jimmy and the Jimmys, Jimmys.
Exactly. You have some amazing. Obviously, you have the whole story between Dr. Ian and
Mm.
Samson and what's going on there, and him trying to find a cure for Samson, and then obviously you have the Jimmies slowly trying to find their way to Saint Nick, which they we then basically have Dr. Ian as Saint Nick. I'm kind of giving away spoilers here, but of course it's a
Oh
spoiler
yeah,
review
it's a spoiler
technically.
review. Yeah,
Um,
go on.
But I think it was fantastic. I love the performances. Ray
Mm.
Fiennes is an absolute gem of a performer. He gives a stunning
Mm.
performance in this. I think Jack O'Connell as well. Goodness gracious, that guy, he has arrived between Sinners and this. He
His
has truly arrived. He was absolutely fantastic. I really love this movie. I love the plot. I love the cinematography. I thought that it had some really gory, horrific moments. Are there some things that they could have worked on, especially with the Jimmies? We talked about this after seeing the movie. After the
mm.
first movie, we thought, okay, is there this connection here to Jimmy Savile? And that wasn't really expanded upon or even really
Oh,
touched upon. But I loved it. Go ahead, man.
okay. Those are good thoughts. Those are very positive thoughts. Now let me ruin that.
I had a feeling.
I, especially after like a couple of days after watching it, I don't think this film had a lot. Like, if it didn't have the acting, like you said, Ray Fiennes always tremendous. Jack O'Connell, like he's very quickly becoming like a standout actor for me. Where I'm like, oh, Jack O'Connell is in this film. I'm gonna watch it. Um, so if it didn't have those, because nobody else is really in it, like even Alfie Williams, who's the third name on the poster, like he barely gets anything to do. I think he
He's
gets
like the
less to do
eighth
than
name in this movie.
he's barely in it. Um, he's one of the Jimmies, like sinking into the background of those. I think Samson has more to do. Uh, but like, if it weren't for those performances, I think that film just would fall flat completely. Um, like, I really think especially with the Jimmies, there wasn't really a through line, like an end goal. like he even says to Kelson when Kelson pretends to be Saint Nick, old Nick, like, do you want us just to continue killing people and going around and maybe collecting some jimmies and like replacing jimmies or whatever? And that's really all he did, right? And so there wasn't like we need to do that 50 times and then something happens and we need to collect 20 jimmies or whatever. It's kind of like he could do this forever and ever and ever, like just the same thing. So it kind of felt boring after a while and it wasn't really going anywhere. I much more preferred the Dr. Kelson storyline was Samson, just the cure thing and just like him hanging out with this massive zombie dude and like how that's gonna shape up, especially since that then would feed into the next film, I guess. And just the implications of holy wow, we can cure this zombie disease, and what that means for like everybody running around being a zombie. So that was a lot more interesting. It's just like, yeah, it kind of didn't grab me as much.
No, I mean to that point, I get what you mean. What you mean in terms of Sir Lord Jimmy, because yeah, he's essentially a Satanist, or let's just put it this way: he's someone clearly suffering from some kind of trauma, some kind of mental health difficulties, and he is a Satanist on this crusade, essentially to please Satan, right? And yes, I think if you didn't have the moment where he sees Dr. Ian and thinks that this guy might be old Nick, that would kind of maybe have fell flat. But I think the fact that he does, and then you have that amazing scene where he does find him, and then I was saying this to you after the movie, like, and this is the thing about Ralph Fiennes, when they're having that scene when him and Jack O'Connor are speaking as Ian and Sir Lord Jimmy, and they realize, okay, that he's not old Nick, like he just pulls you in so much because they're having this really honest conversation. It felt like a therapy session especially for Sir Lord Jimmy. But I think then when he then turns the tables and says, well, listen, we're gonna have to find an agreement here because my crew, they think that you're old Nick, and if they realize you're not, and they realize that I lied, they're going to realize that my whole thing was bollocks. And I love that whole switcheroo, which then leads to, I know we had differing opinions on this scene, but the scene, obviously, when he comes out, well, to a degree, at least a certain part of it, when he comes out in his Metallica,
Iron Maiden, sorry,
Iron Maiden, my apologies, I thought it was Metallica, but clearly I know rock and roll, but you know what I mean, but he comes out in his gear and he's doing that whole performance, and he notices Spike. And then suddenly he then flips it on Sir Lord Jimmy. That was hilarious, by the way. I have to say, that was so funny. Jack O'Connell played it so well at like, wait, hold on a minute. This wasn't part of the plan. You're about to out me here. Well, and, the fact that he turns around to him and says, my son, just like, God had his one and only son crucify himself, I'm now going to ask you to do the same thing. I thought that scene was just gold to me. It was just money. It was hilarious. And I gotta admit, I think when he does notice it was Spike, I know that's the part we kind of was like, does that work or not?
Spike has his mask on and he's like,
But for me, looking beyond that, it's more so that part where he is on his deathbed and Spike says to him, why did you do that? Why didn't you just let us go? And he says, I feel like you suffered enough. And that harkens back to that amazing touching moment in the first movie where Ian explains to Spike and his mum that your mum has cancer, and if you remember that, but he explains to Spike the
cancer part.
He explains to Spike and his mum that his mum has cancer, and that you have that beautiful moment where he essentially asks Spike to go on. And then obviously he puts his mum down, and it just all came together for me, and it just hit. And you touched upon the Samson angle. I'm fascinated by that angle. Fascinated. It does have some potential loopholes in it, in that the fact that this doctor now realizes that, okay, maybe we can treat the psychosis part of this illness. Don't get me wrong. I guess I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a stretch, but it still works for me, and I'm excited to see if that has any ramifications in the next movie. Now that we know that that Samson has been, I don't know if his treatment that he's had is permanent, or if it's gonna because
Yeah,
I don't know
I
what will
guess we'll
happen there.
find out
Yeah, or
what's
if he's going
happening
to be
there.
able to continue the work of Dr. Ian. Maybe Dr. Ian left his notebooks or something. But I'm excited to see, how that plays out in the third movie if we do reach an eventual end of this. But yeah, any other thoughts?
I do want to go back to that Iron Maiden scene as well. I think because again, I think it's elevated because with the acting, or through the acting, as well. While it's a really cool, epic scene, I think, with the music and the fire and like Kelson or Ray Fiennes really just doing his weird thing, which looks really cool. He kind of like, I think, channeling Voldemort maybe a little bit again. It had some like elements of that, I
Yeah.
think. But it lives from that acting, I think, and I love just like Jack O'Connell's reactions as well,
Yeah.
because they clearly like discussed like the broad terms of that plan, but really like Kelson is improvising, right? And Jimmy or Lord Jimmy something doesn't really know what's going to happen. So there's these
Yeah.
reactions sometimes where Jimmy's like, what are you gonna do with this? And especially when Kelson asks the other people or everyone like kneel before me, and then talks to Jimmy and says like, not you, my son, you rise. And like just that smile and that reaction
Yeah.
on Jack O'Connell's face, like, oh yeah, you earned yourself a little pat on the back here, mate.
Yeah.
That was
As
really
he's
well
wearing
done.
like his little black tiara that he puts on at the beginning of
Yeah.
the scene.
So I really enjoyed the film for that part. And I think it like kind of rises the whole thing out of the muck a little bit more for me at that point.
Well, let's go to our Icee score review. So I'm going to go to you first because I'm intrigued with your
Oh, no.
scoring with this. How many Icees out of 10 will you give 28 years later The Bone Temple?
So I was gonna go with 7 out of 10 Ices, and this is mainly, I think, like 6 of those are for just the acting alone, and maybe 1 for that final, like that scene or sequence, but with yeah, the dancing and the Iron Maiden and all that stuff. But the story didn't really interest me. I think it was kind of lacked all the interesting stuff that stories need. I think they should have gone back to the drawing board and just written a good story, written a good film. But yeah, 7 out of 10 Ices from me.
Okay, well, I mean, that's still higher than you built it up to be.
The acting,
Which is
it's,
good,
it's
yeah.
literally just the acting. Like it really helps. It really makes up so much of
Yeah.
if a film is crap, but the acting is good, if the story is crap and the acting is good, I'm there, man. I'm just watching
Yeah.
these people like do their thing, and I'm riveted. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you are, Jimmy. I'm sure you are. But look, I was very tempted to give this 9 Ices out of 10. I'll be very honest with you. I think I need to see it again first before I go there. But I will give this 8.5 Ices out of 10. I
Still
thought
too
this
close.
movie was fantastic. I loved it, and I really want to see it again. And I'm very excited for what's to come. And as a heads up, we will be doing a separate video to discuss the final scene of the movie and what that potentially means for the next installment and the future of this franchise. So that will be coming either on the same day or shortly following our review for this one. I mean, that will do it for our review of 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Please like, comment, share, drop down in the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts on this review here, on the movie itself, what you think and what you thought about, well, everything, especially Samson. I'm sure that'll be another talking point of this movie, of course, for more reasons than one. Once again, my name is Cameron. I'm waiting for a download from St. Nick, Kelly Smith, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague here.
You remembered this time.
I did.
I'm Phil Jimmy Cohen.
Oh, that's right. Once again, we are No Drama, Just Movies. Thank you very much for checking out our review today, guys, and we will see you very, very soon. Take care, guys.